Hello, welcome to another movie vlog for Asian cinema season. This is another anime film, and it follows on from another movie vlog I did about 3 or 4 months ago where I watched and talked about the original anime film Ghost in the Shell. Recently picked up a boatload of Ghost in the Shell Blu-rays of different spin-offs and so on and so forth, and this is one of them. Ghost in the Shell Innocence, which is the sequel. Released in 2004, almost 10 years after the original film, and also written and directed by Mamoru Oshii, who did the first Ghost in the Shell movie. I don't know if the Major is in it, who was of course the key figure in the first film. So yeah, and I said I was going to do a movie vlog about the 2017 live action movie Ghost in the Shell. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Wasn't great. Obviously it doesn't hold a candle to the original anime film. I like how they homaged certain scenes and so on and so forth, but ultimately it was just good. You know, great visuals, some good action, nothing spectacular, didn't offend me in any way. I thought it was a fair attempt at doing a live action version of that story, but I'm intrigued to open this up, pop the Blu-ray in. I'm going to cook some pasta bolognese for dinner. And check it out. The most impressive anime ever, according to the Daily Record, who I've never heard of before. Empire says a dazzling spectacle. So, yeah, I got no idea what the reputation of this film is at all. Whether it's seen as a great sequel, I really don't know. So, yeah, excited and intrigued to jump into this one. I think this dog on the cover appeared in the live-action movie. I don't think I remember him from the original. From the creators of Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle. Yes, this is obviously not a Studio Ghibli film, but I read that they got Toshio Suzuki, one of the kind of lead producers at Studio Ghibli, to co-produce this film. So I assume that's why it says that. Co-produced by Studio Ghibli, there you go. Alright, enough waffling on. I'm going to get downstairs, cook my dinner, put the disc into the Blu-ray player, and get ready to watch Ghost in the Shell, Innocence. Alright. Got my dinner ready. Let's do this. Okay, so I'm 10 minutes into the film, and I'm not actually. It's funny when I do these movie vlogs. Sometimes I get so carried away with it. I'll do updates every like 20 minutes through the movie, but for this one, I watched all of it and didn't vlog at all. Part of that was because I was really getting tired. I nodded off a little bit. So I went back and watched like the past 10 minutes that I was nodding off during, because I just felt like I didn't get it. Just in terms of falling asleep and just missing things, not like it was too complicated. And then I just had to take a break and just like do something else to wake myself up a bit, because I really wanted to focus on the film. And so I finally finished it now, maybe about three and a half hours after I first started watching it. But I enjoyed my dinner, and the film I enjoyed very much too. Really nice inside artwork on the Blu-ray, which is really cool, and wasn't expecting that. It depicts a key scene from the film where there's a big parade, and then there's some images there in the title of the film. Really nice. I guess you could almost put that as an alternate artwork if you flip it around, although I guess the cover would be on the back, so maybe not. But Ghost in the Shell 2, Innocence, and I've been looking into it, and it's a bit sketchy as to what Mamoru Oshii really means when he says that this isn't really a sequel. I mean, it's a sequel. It is a straight up sequel to Ghost in the Shell, and I love that about it. I was really intrigued to see if the Major would be in the film. Obviously she's the main character in the first one, and her character had a very interesting ending in the climax of the first movie. She's not really in this film all that much, but where she is, it's really impactful and really cool, and I loved the way they utilized her character, and I loved how the main character was Bato from the first film. Really liked him as a character. In fact, I really liked him in the live action movie as well, and the dog was a really cool character, kind of a minor one, but a memorable one all the same. So Bato and a new partner of his, after the events of the first film, they're investigating a new mystery. There's these murders that have been going on, and these sex dolls basically have been turning on people and killing themselves, self-destructing. So it's very much a crime mystery thriller with all this, science fiction, dystopia. I love how it attacks the idea of the digital age, and not really the possibilities of where we could go in the future, but an idea of it. If technology and artificial intelligence was to develop to the point that it does in this film, you would see the stuff probably that takes place in this film, where the lines between human and robot get incredibly blurred. And what I like about the film is that it takes itself very seriously in a lot of ways, but it also pokes fun at itself. There's a lot of quotes from kind of the Bible and philosophers and things like that. There's a lot of philosophy rooted into this film, with the characters quoting these lines and things like that. But there was there's a great part towards the end when the characters are just like, "This is no time for quoting philosophy," and I'm just thinking that's what the whole film's been about. So its tongue is in its cheek at some points, but it does take itself seriously, and it has a very serious plot. And I just love the visuals. One thing I did not like about the film, 2004, again nearly 10 years after the original, is the way that Mamoru Oshii integrated 3D CGI into the movie. Now you look at traditional 2D animation that has 3D CGI animation integrated into it. It can sometimes work. Look at, say, Howl's Moving Castle from Hayao Miyazaki, same year, 2004. He kind of made the titular castle CGI in some scenes. I think that works really well, and it complements the rest of the animation. But here, there's a lot of CGI, and I feel like it detracted a little bit. Some of it doesn't look convincing. I mean, the visuals in this film are stunning. Just from a design standpoint, from composition, lighting, colors, this film is stunning. And I love all the choices that were made as far as just framing the characters, making the film visually interesting to watch, things like that. But there are some kind of scenes, there's this big kind of cathedral building that they fly around, and it's all CGI, and it looks like a PS1 game. And I found the same thing in the 2001 anime Metropolis. Great film, but suffers from some of those kind of low-resolution CGI models that just, they don't match the quality of the rest. It didn't truly bother me to the point where it hurt the film, but it just stood out like a sore thumb. It's stuff that doesn't age very well. It works in some ways, and in other ways it doesn't. So, yeah, I think with CGI, it really does age badly when you go back and look at stuff that was done 10, 15 years ago. And in this case it would be about 13 years, I suppose. And yeah, so it really hasn't aged well, but the story has aged well, because the story is really well done. I loved the kind of almost, not time loop, but reality loop that the two main characters were in, Bato and his partner, I should say, when they went to the mansion. I loved that whole sequence. It was so cool. And again, much like the first film, it questions the meaning of existence and frames that through the science fiction of artificial intelligence and people's minds being uploaded onto computers and things, and looking at cities as these external memory drives and things, and like the life is just the storing of information. In a lot of ways it is, you know. Life, as we perceive it, is through our brains and through our memories and stuff. So there's some really cool parallels that Oshii draws through the outlandish science fiction stories that he tells in these films. So I absolutely loved it. I was not expecting it to be as good as it was. I've heard that some of the follow-ups are just not as good as the original, and it's not as good as the first one, but it's pretty close. It's pretty close. I mean, I thought the first one was just a masterpiece, and this one is not far from it. I don't know. I was really surprised. I love the music. They use kind of the same song that was so prevalent in the first film, and they use it a lot in this one. But it's just such a good song that it fits. There's a big parade sequence, and it's used, and it just has such an interesting power to it that is used to effect in different kinds of scenes. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it sets the mood for this parade scene, and then it really kind of accentuates this big action scene at the end of the film. So I love the music, and again the visuals. The film, when there was no CGI, looked great. You know, some of the, I don't know if I mean, I guess a lot of the characters are kind of robotic. I don't know if they're projecting their voice without moving their lips, but there'll be times where people are having conversations and the lips aren't moving. I'm like, and it almost looks like they kind of cheaped out on, you know, moving the lips, which just seems crazy, because apparently they got a lot of money to make this, like 20 million, and so it was a bit of a bomb. It made like less than half of that apparently. And that's why they got Studio Ghibli to co-produce it. I was just to raise the money, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing the other ones that I picked up, which are part of a anime series that have been edited into movies. But I know they're not really going to be that good. I don't know, maybe they are. But I was kind of expecting something that would be nowhere near as good as the original, but the fact that Mamoru Oshii also wrote and directed this, I thought maybe it could be really good, and it was really good. It was great, in fact, and as I said, I loved how the Major's character was involved in it. It's different, you know. If you've seen the first film, you know why it's different. And I just liked it because you could have very easily done a sequel to The Ghost in the Shell and just had it be all about Major again, and have her going off on another adventure in the form that she found herself by the end of the first film. And it would have been fine, it would have been fun. You could have done the same story, it would have worked. It could have been her and Bato, it would have been great. But I loved how it was Bato's story, his film, and the Major was an even bigger part of it by her absence. It actually reminded me a little bit of Luke Skywalker in The Force Awakens in a way. You know, she basically turns up in full towards the end. And makes a big impact. Well, more impact than Luke Skywalker did in The Force Awakens, that's for sure, but that kind of feel where her presence is felt in the way that she's being remembered by Bato, you know. And yeah, so loved it. Definitely wanted to go back to again and again and get different things out of it. I loved the final scene. Really, really interesting final scene. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. So, oh, one more thing before I finish, just because I don't know when I'll be talking about this ever again, really, but I was really happy to see some good extras on this. Just seems like one that wouldn't really have any, maybe a trailer, but it has like a 20-minute interview with the director, it has a 15-minute making of, and it has an audio commentary with the director, Mamoru Oshii, and the animation director, with subtitles. And I put some of it on at the end of the film just to see what they said about the ending, and they didn't really, like, because the last shot is kind of interesting, the last two shots, so I was like, I wonder what the director will have to say about that ending. And they just go, and that's it, that's the end. Are we supposed to talk over the credits? So it seems like quite a fun commentary. In fact, they said that a little girl runs towards the screen, and they're like, oh, we animated that like a Ghibli character. So I'm looking forward to watching that with the commentary, but you'll have to, I mean, with commentaries I like to listen to them and maybe not watch the film, but this one you have to watch it and read the subtitles. But I love that that's on there. That's really cool, so I'm really happy with this Blu-ray, and it costs like about £4, so great value. Looked great as well. Good stuff. There we go. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
It's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans of Carlin into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you, 'cause